Third, for someone who is new to your teachings, who has never heard of you before, and who has maybe just come upon your videos on YouTube, how would you explain the core message of your teachings?
Thank you. The teaching came to me, became very clear to me in the year 2000. And so here it is in a capsule form. I realize I'm a human being. A being playing the human role of bird. Now the two, human and being, excuse me, are opposed to each other. They're totally different. For example, the human is always a becoming process. It is always striving, seeking, needing, wanting, desiring, and it's never really satisfied. The being, on the other hand, it just is. You know, we call it allowing, peace, acceptance, love, and it's always fresh and new, just like a child. Okay, now the paradox here is that although the human is always striving, seeking, wanting to improve, to grow, get better, yet of course it doesn't realize that what it really wants is the being, but it seeks it through the world because it doesn't know that it's the being it is after. So what happens is that the moment the human realizes it is always seeking the being, which is itself, which is always the moment, then it integrates both human and being, and we call that the whole being and the awakening process, or the awakened state. The thing to understand is that the human and the being are both I am. The only difference is that the human thinks of it as an individual separate being, see, from the I am, whereas the being is the universal being. That's why it's love, it's a belonging, it's a connecting, it's a relationship, total. Actually, it's more than a relationship. It just is. And so that's basically the teaching. Thank you.
You speak of contrast of being and becoming, contrast of movement, striving, and isness, stillness, allowing. You also speak of integration of humanness and beingness. When a seeker comes to you, Bert, and asks you, how can I bring the two together? How can I bring these seeming opposites together? How can I get a felt sense experience of universal I am being all there is, instead of life being operated from all those personal I ams? What would you say to them?
Yes, very good question. The wonderful thing about life is that it's a unified field experience. In other words, it's all about oneness. Now there seems to be a contrast between the human and the being, but what it really is that the human is always seeking the being. For example, ask yourself, what is it that I want? And you will find, whether it is success or fame or a big car, money, it doesn't matter what it is. You just want to feel good with yourself. In other words, all you ever want is inner fulfillment. But we'll eventually find that no matter what we achieve materially, physically, mentally, nothing is satisfying, nothing is fulfilling except the being. The being is the total fulfillment. And so we're always striving, going around in circles like a spiral around the center, until we reach that epitome of integration. And so actually they're both one. The human is helping us to find the being, by dealing with the human aspect, we will find that our drive is continuously towards the being. So eventually, when we recognize that all we ever want is the being, all seeking stops. And then that's how the human and the being will express as one. And that's inner fulfillment. And thank you for that question.